Hello everyone, this is Asha Bist. I welcome you all in the third and the last part of Class 8th, second history chapter from trade to territory. As earlier we discussed two parts of this chapter. Let's revise those two parts first, then we'll move towards the last and the third part. Dear students, before this, in this chapter we studied about the last powerful Mughal emperor Aurangzeb, East India Company, how they arrived in India, how they started doing trade with India. After that, how trade turned into the battles like Plassey and Buxar. The British company officials called themselves Naboobs, how the company ruled expanded in India, and about Tipu Sultan and Mysore. Now let's begin with the third and the last part of this chapter. Anglo-Maratha Wars. After the defeat of Maratha in Battle of Panipat in 1761, they get divided in various small dynasties. While they were defeated, they divided into various small dynasties such as Sindhya, Holkars, Gaikwad, and Bonsil. Three wars were fought between Marathas and British in 1782, 1803 to 5, and 1817 to 19. The third war was the decisive war, and after this, Peshwa was deposed and sent to the northern India on a pension. In war with Marathas, from 18th century, the British started to destroy the Maratha power. Okay, they started destroying Maratha power. When Maratha got defeated in the third battle of Panipat in 1761, they could not fulfill their dreams of ruling from Delhi. Before that, they were thinking ruling from Delhi, but it was not fulfilled. Peshwa, a principal minister, was made the head of divided states. As the state was divided into various dynasties, and the head was made a Peshwa. Now, these Peshwas used to be the head of these small dynasties. Now, the company had control over the south of Vindhyas, means they have started controlling the south of Vindhyas. Claim to paramountcy. Now, to establish their paramountcy, the British adopted aggressive approach. They declared themselves the supreme power and the greatest among all. They started threatening Indian kingdoms as British were proving themselves as the best power across the India, means they were declaring themselves that they are the most powerful across India and nobody can rule India better than them. This enhanced their desire to rule whole territories, and they started direct conquest under Lord Hastings, means they started conquering the whole India under the leadership of Hastings from 1813 to 23. They had a fear in their mind that Russia may expand across Asia and enter India. So they tried to control their power and fought wars against Afghanistan and started ruling. British also wanted to secure northwest front of their empire in India. For this, they fought wars with Afghanistan and Punjab and finally won over its territory in 1843 and 1849 respectively. It showed that how desperately they wanted to increase their territories. That's why they fought many wars with Afghanistan and Punjab and finally won over its territories. Now, doctrine of lapse. Lord Dalhousie proposed a policy that is famous as the doctrine of lapse, according to which if an Indian ruler died with having no natural heir, his territory will pass on to the British. Through this, they established their rule over many kingdoms. Under the reign of Lord Dalhousie 1848 to 1506, they adopted the policy of flaps. According to this policy, the rulers who does not have any legal heir could not pass on their property to the adopted son, and it would be taken over by the British. Satara 1848, Sambalpur 1850, Jhansi 1854 were annexed by this policy. Means they just holded or covered or established their rule over these territory because these rulers were not having their natural heirs. Now, administration under British. In 1773, Warren Hastings became the Governor General of Bengal and controlled the governors of other presidencies of Madras and Bombay. Separate civil and criminal courts were set up under the supervision of collector. New set of laws were compiled by muftis and Brahmins for the religious interpretation. The Governor General Warren Hastings played an important role in making the company powerful. Through this, they administered in India. They made 3 presidencies. Hastings brought many reforms in the administration also. He just involved himself in the administration power or work, and through this he changed the system of laws. The company army. Now let's discuss about the company army. Its power rested on its military. As per the British rule, their power was rested on its military, especially on trained soldiers. They used to train their soldiers who rest on horseback infantry. Okay, horseback and infantry. These were totally, the British were totally dependent on their army. They were trained in archery, and these soldiers were trained in archery. They adopted the same method of recruitment in army like the Awadh and Banaras. Like Awadh and Banaras, they recruited their army, the peasants, into army. Same policy was adopted by Britishers also. They started recruiting the people of India into their army. In 19th century, they developed a uniform army, a unique army, an army which was well equipped in archery, which was well trained. The army got European style training. Okay, they have given European style training as well as drill and discipline. The system also created problems sometimes as soldiers were of different caste and community. But we can't say that while establishing such army they didn't face any kind of problem. They do had faced problems because the soldiers they were recruiting in their army were of different caste and community. To conclude this chapter, the East India Company was transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. As from the beginning of the chapter, we are knowing it that the Britishers first entered India just because of trading purposes. They wanted to trade with India, but later they started establishing their rule all over India and became the colonial power. By 1857, the company came to exercise direct rule over about 63% of the territory and 78% of the population of the Indian subcontinent. Means by 1857, they started ruling 63% of the Indian territory and 78% of population of India in the subcontinent. So till that time they controlled India and many part of the Indian territory. With this slide we finished the third and the last part of this chapter, as well as we covered the whole chapter. Hope you liked it. Hope you understood the events took place in this chapter. We'll soon meet with more chapters. Till then, enjoy studying. Have a nice day.